When Professor Wilson shouted, "People like you can't be teachers," the entire class fell silent. His homophobic comments and kicking me out of class because of my sexual orientation was unacceptable. The voice recordings I would show Dean Dr. Peterson would end Wilson's career. My name is Christopher Lane. I'm 23 years old and a senior student at Northwestern University's education faculty. I'm studying to become an elementary school teacher, and this is my dream profession. Alex Thompson and I have been living together for 2 years. He's also a senior in the psychology department at the same university. Northwestern University is one of Chicago's prestigious universities, and I worked very hard to get here. My academic performance is high. I got very good feedback in my internships. I love working with children. My only problem is being gay and not hiding it. Professor James Wilson is 52 years old, one of the oldest professors in the education faculty. He teaches classroom management and pedagogy, and also serves on the faculty board. I knew he was old-fashioned, but I didn't think he would go this far. Problems started in the first semester. When I entered Wilson's class for the first time, he stopped at my name while reading the class list. "Christopher Lane, are you the student who was seen at the Pride March last year?" The class turned to me. I was a bit surprised, but answered honestly, "Yes, Professor, I was at Pride." "I see. This class is for future teachers. The teaching profession requires social responsibility." "Of course, Professor. I'm aware of this responsibility too." "I hope so, Mr. Lane." This conversation didn't sit well with me, but I didn't pursue it. The second week was even stranger. Wilson was constantly targeting me, staying silent when other students gave wrong answers to his questions, while magnifying my small mistakes. "Mr. Lane, what do you think about children's need for role models?" "Professor, I think children need positive role models, respectful, understanding, and inclusive teachers." "Inclusive? What does that mean? Creating an environment where all children feel safe?" Interesting perspective. There was a sarcastic tone in his voice. The third week, Wilson saw Alex and me kissing while having lunch on campus. The next class was very different. "Mr. Lane, what do you know about the boundaries between private life and professional life in the teaching profession?" "Professor, I know that teachers should act professionally in their private lives too. Is that so? And is displaying inappropriate behavior on campus professional?" The class fell silent. It was obvious he was talking about me. "Professor, what behavior are you referring to?" "Mr. Lane, do I need to remind you how teacher candidates should behave on campus?" "No, Professor. I behave appropriately." "I don't think so." This conversation was very disturbing. The fourth week, Wilson kept me after class. "Mr. Lane, I need to talk to you." "Of course, Professor. This profession isn't suitable for everyone." "What do you mean?" Your situation doesn't constitute an appropriate role model for children." I was shocked. "My situation? Christopher, you're gay. This can have a negative impact on children." "Professor, my sexual orientation doesn't affect my teaching ability." "Doesn't it? What will parents think? What will happen to this university's reputation?" "Professor, this is discrimination." "This is reality, Christopher. You should have thought about this when choosing this profession." After this conversation, I was very upset. When I told Alex, he was very angry too. "Christopher, this is unacceptable. Wilson is discriminating." "I know, Alex, but he's very powerful in the faculty." "You're right, and we need to prove this." "How?" "We need to gather evidence." Alex was right. I needed to document Wilson's discrimination. Starting from the fifth week, I began recording Wilson's classes. I kept my phone open in my bag. Wilson's attitude toward me was getting worse and worse. He constantly targeted me, tried to lower my grades, tried to humiliate me in front of other students. "Mr. Lane, I reviewed your assignment. It's in an unacceptable state." "Which part is problematic, Professor?" "Your general approach is wrong. What will you teach children?" "Professor, my assignment is about inclusive education, that all children have equal rights." "That's the problem. You're trying to impose your own views on children." "Professor, I'm just saying all children should be accepted." "This is your personal agenda, Christopher. Education isn't this." This conversation was also recorded. The sixth week, Wilson tried to mislead me about an assignment. Mr. Lane, you have a presentation next week. What presentation, Professor? There's nothing like that on the schedule. I told you. Didn't you prepare? Professor, no such assignment was given. Christopher, you're not listening carefully. This is academic failure. I had recorded this too. Wilson was deliberately trying to put me in a difficult position. The 7th week, he went even further. During class discussion, Mr. Lane, what do you think about the effect of gay teachers on children? The class fell silent. This question was very inappropriate. Professor, sexual orientation has nothing to do with teaching ability. Is that so? Research says differently. What research, Professor? Christopher, you can't be objective about this. You have personal interests. Professor, I'm trying to be objective. You're not suitable for this profession. This was an extremely discriminatory comment made in front of the class. The 8th week, Wilson unfairly evaluated my midterm exam. Other students who gave the same answers got higher grades. When I looked at my exam paper, I saw Wilson's notes. Inappropriate approach, personal bias, professional inappropriateness. This was completely unfair. The 9th week during Wilson's class, my phone rang. I immediately turned it off, but Wilson got very angry. Mr. Lane, what disrespect is this? Professor, I'm sorry. I turned it off immediately. Christopher, you don't respect this class. Get out. Professor, the phone just rang. I apologized. I said get out. You're an unwanted person here. Unwanted? Yes. You're not suitable for this school. The class was shocked. Wilson had humiliated me in front of everyone. When I went outside, I was very upset. But everything was on record. The 10th week, Wilson went even further. When LGBT rights came up in class, some people try to impose their own choices on society. This is unacceptable in education. He was looking at me while speaking. Such people are harmful to children. They can influence them. Professor, I said, sexual orientation isn't a choice, and it's not harmful. Mr. Lane, you can't think objectively. Your personal interests are blinding you. Professor, I'm basing this on scientific data. You're wrong, Christopher. And you're harming this class. These conversations were becoming unbearable. The 11th week, Wilson's real plan was revealed. He called me after class. Christopher, I need to talk to you seriously. Yes, Professor. You should leave this department. What? Why? Because you're not suitable to be a teacher. Is this decision yours to make? Christopher, I can't pass you. Your final grade will be failing. Professor, this isn't fair. My academic performance is good. No, Christopher. You can't be a role model. Why can't I be a role model? Because you're not normal. This word hurt me a lot. Not normal? Christopher, families don't want teachers like you. Like me. What do you mean? Gay teachers are unacceptable. They have a bad effect on children. Professor, this is completely wrong and discriminatory. Christopher, this is reality. You should accept this. I won't accept it. Then you'll be expelled from this department. Professor, you're trying to expel me because you're discriminating. Christopher, I'm expelling you because you're not suitable for teaching. This conversation was the last straw. When I told Alex the situation, he got very angry. Christopher, this is too much now. We should report Wilson. To whom? He's very powerful in the faculty. We'll report to the dean. Dean Dr. Peterson is Wilson's friend. He might not listen to me. Christopher, we have evidence. Voice recordings. You're right, Alex. It's time to take action. The next day I requested an appointment with Dr. Peterson's secretary. Hello, I'd like to meet with Dean Dr. Peterson. About what, Mr. Lane? An important academic matter. Urgent. He's available tomorrow at 2 p.m. Perfect, thank you. That night, Alex and I organized all the evidence. 10 weeks of voice recordings, email correspondences, my grade charts, exam papers. Christopher, these are very strong evidence. Wilson's discrimination is very clear. I hope the dean listens, Alex. He will listen. Because you're right. The next day, I went to Dr. Peterson's office. Peterson is 58 years old, an experienced academic. I knew him as a fair person. Mr. Lane, please sit down. What did you come for? Dr. Peterson, I have a serious complaint about Professor Wilson. About what? He's discriminating against me because of my sexual orientation. Dr. Peterson became serious. This is a very serious accusation, Mr. Lane. I know, Dr. Peterson. But I have evidence. What kind of evidence? I took out my phone. 10 weeks of voice recordings. Really? Can I listen to these recordings? Of course. I played the first recording. Wilson's words, "You're not normal," could be heard. Dr. Peterson's face changed. What does this mean? Let's continue listening, Dr. Peterson. Second recording. Gay teachers are unacceptable. They have a bad effect on children. Dr. Peterson was shocked. Did Wilson say this? Yes, Dr. Peterson, and there's more. Third recording. Families don't want teachers like you. This is unacceptable, said Dr. Peterson. Wilson is discriminating. Dr. Peterson, he's trying to expel me from class. On what grounds? He says I can't be a role model. Dr. Peterson stood up. Mr. Lane, this behavior is completely against university policies. Dr. Peterson, I just want to be a teacher. And you will be Mr. Lane. Wilson's behavior is unacceptable. What will you do? First I'll talk to Wilson, then I'll start the disciplinary process. This was very hopeful. Dr. Peterson, will you follow up on this matter? Of course, Mr. Lane. You're a valuable student of this university. Thank you, Dr. Peterson. I thank you, Christopher, for reporting this situation to me. When I left the office, I felt very relieved. I had finally made my voice heard. I called Alex and explained the situation. Christopher, great. The dean listened to you. Yes, Alex. Dr. Peterson was very understanding. What will Wilson do now? I don't know, but now his discrimination is out, in the open. The next day, Wilson had class. When he entered the classroom, he looked very tense. We won't have class today. I have some business to attend to. He ended the class early. He stopped me in the hallway. Christopher, did you talk to the dean? Yes, Professor. What did you tell him? I told him the truth. Wilson's face changed. What truth? That you discriminate. I didn't discriminate. The voice recordings say otherwise, Professor. Voice recordings? Yes. 10 weeks of recordings. Wilson was shocked. You recorded me? I had to protect myself against you. Christopher, is this legal? Yes, Professor. I have the right to protect myself. Wilson was very angry, but couldn't say anything. That evening, Dr. Peterson called me. Mr. Lane, I talked to Wilson. What did he say, Dr. Peterson? He denied it at first, but when he heard the voice recordings, he fell silent. What happens now? The disciplinary committee will convene. An investigation will be opened about Wilson. How long will this take? 1 week. You continue attending classes. Wilson can't cause you problems anymore. This was very relieving. The next week, Wilson's attitude had completely changed. He was very cautious toward me. Didn't speak at all. Other students were curious about the situation. Christopher, what happened to Wilson? He's acting very strange. He has some problems. Is it related to you? You could say that. Wilson no longer targeted me in classes. He wasn't even trying to speak. A week later, Dr. Peterson called me to his office. Mr. Lane, come. I have good news. What happened, Dr. Peterson? The disciplinary committee made its decision. What did they decide? Wilson was found guilty. It was determined that he committed serious discrimination. What will his punishment be? Administrative leave. He won't be able to teach for 1 semester. That's it? No. He also has an obligation to apologize, and he'll take sensitivity training. This was a good start. Dr. Peterson, what about my grades? The grades Wilson gave are invalid. Another professor will reevaluate. This is very fair. Christopher, you acted very courageously. There's no place for discrimination at this university. Thank you, Dr. Peterson. I thank you. You're a valuable student here. A week later, Wilson called me to his office. He looked very different. Christopher, please sit. His voice was very low. I came to apologize to you. I was surprised. Apologize? Yes. My behavior toward you was wrong. What behavior, Professor? Discrimination. Targeting you because of your sexual orientation. This was very painful, Professor. I know, Christopher. I'm very sorry. Why did you act like that? Wilson paused. I was a prisoner of my old thoughts. I grew up with wrong information. This isn't an excuse, Professor. You're right. It's not an excuse. But now I understand how wrong I was. Really? Yes, Christopher. You're a wonderful teacher candidate. Your sexual orientation doesn't change that. I wasn't expecting to hear such words from Wilson. Professor, I just want to be a teacher. And you will be Christopher. You work wonderfully with children. Thank you, Professor. I thank you, Christopher, for opening my eyes. This conversation was more positive than I expected. In the following weeks, Wilson's attitude completely changed. He now treated me respectfully, even supportively. Mr. Lane, this project of yours is really perfect. Thank you, Professor. You have a very beautiful approach to children. You have a real educator's spirit. It was very nice to hear these words. At the end of the semester, my grades were re-evaluated. I got much fairer grades. Alex and I celebrated. Christopher, you won. Yes, Alex. But most importantly, we achieved justice. Wilson's change is also surprising. People can change, Alex. Sometimes they need to experience shock. In the spring of senior year, my relationship with Wilson had completely improved. He even wrote me a reference letter. Christopher, I praised you a lot in this letter. Really, Professor? Yes. You'll be a wonderful teacher. Professor, this is very meaningful. Christopher, you taught me a lot. You helped me overcome my prejudices. Everyone can turn back from mistakes, Professor. You're taking a very mature approach. At graduation, Wilson congratulated me. Christopher, I'm very proud. Thank you, Professor. You're the pride of this university. These words moved me a lot. Alex also graduated. We both found jobs in Chicago. Christopher, you did something historic. What do you mean, Alex? You created awareness about LGBTQ+ rights at this university. I hope other students benefit too. And they really did. The following year, the university opened an LGBTQ+ counseling center. Dr. Peterson invited me to the opening. Mr. Lane, you made a big contribution to the opening of this center. Really, Dr. Peterson? Of course. You showed courage. Other students will benefit too. This is very meaningful. Christopher, you made this university a better place. 2 years later, Wilson retired. At the farewell ceremony, he talked to me. Christopher, you changed my life. How, Professor? You showed me my prejudices. I'm a much better person now. This is very nice, Professor. Christopher, you're a real educator. You taught me a lot, not just children. We all continue to learn, Professor. You're very right. 3 years later, I was working as a teacher at Lincoln Elementary. I was very happy. One day, Wilson came to visit me at school. Christopher, I wanted to see you at work. Welcome, Professor. You're a wonderful teacher. The children love you very much. Thank you, Professor. Christopher, when I think about those days, I feel very ashamed. Professor, those days are behind us. You're a very forgiving person. Everyone deserves a chance to change, Professor. Wilson was looking with his eyes filled. I learned a lot from you, Christopher. I also learned from you, Professor. I learned to be resilient. 4 years later, I received a letter from Wilson. Dear Christopher, I've wanted to write this letter to you for years. I'm still very sorry for what I did to you during that period. You gave me the greatest lesson, fighting prejudices. Now I actively work on LGBTQ+ rights. In my retirement, I try to teach tolerance to young people. I tell your story, with your permission, because you're a symbol of courage and resilience. Thank you, Christopher. You were my most valuable student. Respectfully, Professor James Wilson. This letter moved me very much. 5 years later, I started seeing Wilson at LGBTQ+ events. He had really changed. Christopher, how nice to see you. Hello, Professor. It's surprising to see you at this event. I actively work on these issues now. You showed me the way. This is very meaningful, Professor. Christopher, you became my greatest teacher. 6 years later, Alex and I got married. Wilson came to the wedding. Christopher, I'm very happy for you. Thank you, Professor. Alex, you're very lucky. Christopher is a wonderful person. I know, Professor, said Alex. Wilson, you've changed a lot too, I said. Thanks to Christopher. He taught me real tolerance. 7 years later, I was now a school principal. Wilson was still in touch with me. Christopher, I'm very happy that you became a principal. Thank you, Professor. You'll be a wonderful leader. I hope so, Professor. Christopher, you're my pride. It was very meaningful to hear these words. 8 years later, I started an LGBTQ+ awareness program at our school. Wilson volunteered. Christopher, can I work in this program? Really, Professor? Yes. I want to teach tolerance to young people. This would be wonderful, Professor. You showed me this path, Christopher. Wilson was now a completely different person. 9 years later, Wilson, as a 67-year-old retired professor, was teaching young people. Christopher, I'm currently giving tolerance education to 50 young people. This is wonderful, Professor. I tell them all your story. You're a source of inspiration for them. Very meaningful, Professor. Christopher, you changed a generation. 10 years later, today I think about those days. The moment Wilson said, "People like you can't be teachers," was the turning point of my life. That day when I went to Dean Dr. Peterson's office with voice recordings, I was just trying to defend myself. But in the end I realized I created a much bigger change. Wilson transformed from that old prejudiced professor to a tolerance advocate. The university gained awareness about LGBTQ+ rights. Hundreds of students started receiving education in a safer environment. I work as a principal at Lincoln Elementary, and every day I teach children to be acceptable. Alex and I have a happy marriage, and we adopted last year. Wilson is still alive, 70 years old and mentoring LGBTQ+ youth. He called me last month. Christopher, I talked to 20 young people this week. I told them all about your courage. Professor, you were very brave too. Changing isn't easy. You showed me that change is possible. Everyone deserves a chance to change, Professor. Christopher, you became my most valuable student. You gave me the greatest lesson. Those voice recordings didn't just end Wilson's career, they also transformed him into a real educator. Sometimes the greatest revenge is changing people. Today, there's a Christopher Lane Tolerance Center at Northwestern University. Having my name given to this center makes me very proud. The words Dr. Peterson said when he retired last year, I'll never forget. Christopher, you changed the history of this university. We learned to fight discrimination with your courage. Alex and I were talking. Christopher, you didn't just defend yourself, you protected future generations too. Yes, Alex, but what's really important is Wilson's change. He's a very different person now. You gave him a second chance. This is very big. Alex, that's what education means. Changing people, opening new windows for them. 11 years later, our son Jamie is 8 years old. I tell him Uncle Wilson's story. Dad, was Uncle Wilson bad before? No, son, he was just wrong. But he accepted learning. Then can everyone change? Yes, Jamie, everyone can change. But first, they need to admit their mistakes. Did you forgive Uncle Wilson? Yes, son, because he really changed. Teaching tolerance and forgiveness to Jamie is my biggest duty. 12 years later, Wilson and I wrote a book together. From Prejudice to Pride, A Teacher's Journey. Our book started being taught as a textbook in universities. Christopher, thanks to this book, thousands of teacher candidates are becoming aware. Professor, what's really important is your change. This gives hope to everyone. You taught me that it's never too late to change. And you taught me the power of patience and forgiveness. In the preface of our book, Wilson wrote, Christopher Lane became the student who changed my life. He gave me the greatest lesson. Prejudices are learned, but tolerance can also be learned. I learned tolerance at 52. It's never too late. 13 years later, our school received the Most Inclusive Educational Institution Award. Wilson came to the ceremony. Christopher, this award is your work. Professor, this is all of our work. You also made a big contribution. I just followed your path. Professor, you found your own path. This is more valuable. Wilson is now 73 years old but still active. Last month, he established a scholarship fund for LGBTQ plus youth. Christopher, this scholarship will be in your name. Professor, this isn't necessary. It's necessary, Christopher. You revolutionized my life. Uncle Wilson, you also revolutionized my life. You taught me resilience. 14 years later, Alex and I adopted our second child. We named him Wilson. Uncle Wilson was very moved when he heard, Christopher, this is the greatest honor. Professor, you're part of our family too. I owe you gratitude. We also owe you gratitude. You showed that change is possible. Little Wilson is now 3 years old and loves Uncle Wilson very much. He's just starting to speak with simple words. Uncle Wilson, come, he says, reaching out his hand. Uncle Wilson hugs him. Hello, little one. Jamie is 11 years old and curious about Uncle Wilson's story. Uncle Wilson, did you used to fight with Dad? Yes, Jamie. But then I understood your father was right. How did you understand? Your father taught me the truth, by showing his courage, and by forgiving me. 15 years later, today I think about those voice recordings. Wilson, who said, people like you can't be teachers, is now the biggest supporter of LGBTQ plus teachers. This story taught me that real revenge is sometimes not punishing people but changing them. If I had tried to destroy Wilson, he would have just been an angry retiree. But when I gave him a chance, he turned into a wonderful tolerance advocate. Alex and I were talking. Christopher, you didn't change Wilson. You gave him a chance to change. Yes, Alex, everyone deserves this chance. You're a very big-hearted person. Alex, that's what education means. Transforming people. As Jamie and little Wilson grow up, the most important lesson I tell them is this. Overcoming prejudices is possible. Learning tolerance is possible. And forgiveness is the most powerful weapon. Uncle Wilson celebrated his 74th birthday last week. At the party, he said, Christopher, you became my second birth. I was reborn at 52. Uncle Wilson, you also became my greatest teacher. How? You taught me that it's never too late to change. Today at Northwestern University, there's a Wilson Lane tolerance program. Both our names together because we changed that system together. The new dean who replaced Dr. Peterson called me last month. Mr. Lane, would you speak at our university? About what? About tolerance and change. Your story has become legendary. Of course. But I'll come with Wilson. That would be wonderful. The speeches Wilson and I give together are now being held at universities across the country. Professor, who would have thought we'd share the stage one day? Christopher, you gave me the most beautiful surprise. We became friends, not enemies. We were never enemies, Professor. We were just on the wrong path. You put me on the right path. 16 years later, at the end of this story, I understand. This. That day when I played the voice recordings in Dean Dr. Peterson's office, I was aiming to end Wilson's career. But in reality, something much bigger happened. I changed Wilson's life, changed the university, affected the future of thousands of students. The voice recordings were used not to punish Wilson, but to change the system. And in the end, we all won. Uncle Wilson is now playing with Jamie and little Wilson, whom he loves like grandchildren. That professor who was full of prejudices is now our children's favorite grandfather. Dad, says Jamie, could Uncle Wilson really change? Yes, son. Because he wanted to change and made an effort. Then everyone can change. Exactly, Jamie. Everyone can change. The most beautiful part of this story is this. Instead of taking revenge, I chose to forgive. Instead of destroying Wilson, I gave him a second chance, and that chance changed our lives. Today, Uncle Wilson is 74 years old. I'm 39 years old. Alex and I have a happy 17-year marriage. We have 2 wonderful children. I'm a successful principal. Uncle Wilson is the biggest advocate of tolerance. Those voice recordings didn't just expose Wilson's discrimination. They changed all of us. Sometimes the greatest victory is not defeating your enemy, but turning him into a friend.